Imagine being 2 years old and your own mother deciding you're already worthless. Now imagine that same woman watching your stepfather beat you bloody and smiling while it happens. This isn't fiction. This is the true story of how I survived the highest level of failed parenting and the revenge plot that took 13 years to perfect. But before I show you exactly what I did to make her regret every single breath, you need to understand how monsters are made. Picture this. It's a humid summer afternoon. I'm 2 years old, toddling around with that clumsy drunk sailor walk every toddler has. Then my parents walk through the door carrying something wrapped in blue blankets. My baby brother Mark. And like any typical 2-year-old discovering they're no longer the center of the universe, I acted out. I cried. I threw tantrums. I was jealous of the intruder who stole my mother's arms. But here's what separates normal childhood jealousy from absolute heartbreak. While my mother saw a demonic hell spawn throwing a fit, my grandparents saw a confused little boy who just needed guidance. And thank God for them. Because under their roof, I learned what love actually looked like. I learned that real family doesn't throw you away when you become inconvenient. I learned to protect Mark, to care for him, to be the big brother he deserved. But my mother? She had already checked out. In her mind, Mark was the latest model, shiny, new, and worthy of attention. I was just old news, damaged goods. So she did what any narcissistic parent would do. She threw me away, literally discarded me to be raised by my grandparents because dealing with a child who had emotions was apparently too much work. Mistake number 1. Fast forward 11 years. The family portrait has changed. My mother has now collected 4 children like trophies. Mark and I from my father Sam and baby Alicia from my new stepfather. I'm 13. Mark is 11. Alicia is 18 months of chaos, and Sam is fresh from the hospital, screaming through the night. I'm at that dangerous age where the world stops making sense, where you start asking why instead of just obeying, where you look at your stepfather's rules and think, that doesn't seem right. And that's when the beatings started. Not discipline, not spanking, full, violent beatings. Every time I showed a spark of individuality, every time I questioned his authority, every time I looked at him wrong, sometimes he'd drag me into the living room and do it right in front of my mother. His fists would fall like hammers and she would just watch. No tears, no intervention, just this empty, dead-eyed stare like I was a stranger on a television screen. But here's what they didn't know. Every strike was carving something into me. Not just bruises, though I had plenty of those. Not just trauma, though that would take years to unpack. No. Every beating was programming me, conditioning me, because inside the mind of a 13-year-old boy who had already survived a bookshelf crushing him at age 11, yeah, that happened too, who had already been abandoned once, something was awakening. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just started planning. See, revenge isn't a hot meal you eat immediately. Revenge is a gourmet dish that requires patience, marination, perfect timing. And at 13, damaged, broken, but somehow still breathing, I made a decision. I would wait. I would watch. I would learn every weakness, every fear, every secret my mother and her pathetic excuse for a husband harbored. And when the time was right, I would strike with such precision that their entire manufactured perfect family would crumble like dry sand. But here's the thing about waiting 13 years for revenge. You change. The plan evolves. And sometimes, the person you become while plotting is more terrifying than any punishment you could devise. Because what I did next didn't just destroy my mother, it made the entire town whisper her name in disgust. It made my stepfather pack his bags in the middle of the night. And it involved a single carefully placed phone call that I made on my 18th birthday. A call that leveraged secrets I had been collecting since I was 13 years old. You want to know what was on that call? You want to know why the police showed up 2 hours later and why my mother still can't make eye contact with me 15 years later? Subscribe and turn on notifications. Part 2 drops tomorrow. And trust me, you don't want to miss how this ends because some revenges are served cold, but mine was served ice-ficking cold.